Well, I just got the, yeah. Hi guys, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to your daily lighting critique. We've got angelic cat joining us with the halo effect of the light behind her there, and then me with my too bright background and dark face joining us today. We've got Justin on the line as well. Others hopefully will join in as well, but we have just a handful of images to go through today. One announcement before we get started. Take a look for the students. We do have a lot of sharing opportunities. Let's see, I always close this down. So a bunch more animations are coming through from just some really cool projects that have a lot of really fun potential. And it's just animators that we're talking to and looking at getting some lighting effects. So something like this is really cool because there's actually a visual cue to the story that could be a lot of fun, and you can have a lot of fun with that. So take a look at those. Some of them there are links to files. Others there are links to people to reach out to. And again, we'll hopefully have some more always coming forward. So, but we got Kat on the line. Kat, you have 2 submissions today. There is. We've got your the woman in the window, and then wait, lost it. Where'd it go? There she is. Go and slide this on over here.
Nope. Yeah, I was switching to watch the stream. There we go.
There you go. All right, cool. So we've got both of your submissions here. We'll go ahead and start with this one, and then we will work into Ashley. So talk to us about what changed, what you updated, what you're looking at now.
That one, I basically just kind of updated everything that they suggested yesterday. So the spec light on the dark side of her face, I made more red instead of blue. Because they were noticing a blue spot. And I was like, well, we were doing cool tones, but now we switched to warm, so I fixed that.
Yeah.
I did add added a little bit more rim to the hair in the back to just kind of separate it. I didn't do too much. It was kind of a weird place to put the light.
Like this stuff back here?
I did some stuff back there. I added a bit more light to the dark area between her, where the pole is, on her shirt. I didn't want to make it too bright, though, because I kind of want to be at that contrast of the dark and light.
This is really nice, this amount of rim in here.
Yeah, thank you. Nice. And then I think that was mainly it, was from what they were saying. So okay. Unless you've got something else, I don't know if we're pretty good. I did add, and I don't know if you watched the whole critique from yesterday, but I added some geometry behind her to kind of break up the dark part of the window.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good.
So,
a few things, there are 3 things that were standing out to me when I was looking at this earlier. So number 1 is this area is feeling, it's still a little bit too bright. I would just pull that back a little bit just because it's so much brighter than everything else in the scene. It just feels a little bit too strong. Number 2 is the subsurface that's going on in this pillar here. I would just pull that back a little bit. It makes it feel fleshy. It makes it feel like a big gummy berry thing, and it's it's a much more harder surface. And then if you can, I think we talked about this before, but just bevel this edge. It just feels like a very crisp edge. Even if it was even if it was a concrete pillar, there'd be some sort of wear and tear if it's outside. And then the third one that I would like to see you try is just a little bit more specularity, specifically on the jawline. I want to be able to separate the shape of her jaw from her neck. Okay. And right now there's similar tonality in color, so it's just this area is kind of starting to blend in, and you really kind of want to define that shape so it doesn't feel like a large mass. Okay. So yeah, I think that's where I would go with that one.
Yeah, I'm having troubles getting into the mesh on those buildings. It's just the way it loads. It's hard to separate it, but I'll see if I can break into that mesh and literally or something. Literally
for some of this stuff, you could either just grab these faces and just. If you're in the scene here, and let's say all of this geometry is one solid thing, right? You can literally just do a face select, grab those faces and hit delete, and then put in a cylindrical pillar. Or you could just, and then for the beveling, you could also just grab these faces in here and then just perform the bevel function, and that would just bevel the edge of them just a little bit.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, this other one's it's super fun, and I love the reference that you pulled in. So I wanted to address one of your questions first about the because you were talking about the glasses and making sure that they didn't feel like stickers, right?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to make the white be more emissive, and I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Like, I've hooked up all the nodes correctly, but it doesn't seem to make it emissive.
No,
So
and that's
I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong.
So, no, that's totally fine. So to be clear, in order to really make holograms look right, there's a combination of things that you generally need to do. There are some. It's like partially like any time I've done it in a film, whether it's an iPhone screen or a GPS or holograms like this. It's a little bit of the 3D geometry, and it's a little bit of compositing and getting that holographic look right. So I pulled in some reference. Where'd it go? So of like what makes like what are the like, because this is where reference comes in, right? Because you're like, it just looks like stickers. It doesn't look like it's glowing, and I don't know why. That's the perfect time for reference to come in because you run into that quite a bit, and you're like, okay. So what are the like let's break down the thing. Let's not think about it as a thing, just as a series of visual cues. So some of the visual cues are like the variation within this, and they're not a consistent tone, where like stickers have a much more flatter, consistent color to them. These have a little bit more variation. They also have a brightness to them that's both inner and also outer, in that it's glowing on the surrounding objects, which is a really, really big one. Also, their influence is picked up in these secondary places, like across the bridge of this nose is getting light because of the refraction from these. And so that's the kind of stuff that you're like looking to pick up. And the way that you replicate that is, let's go back to, yeah. So like what you would want to do is if you want it to be white, that's fine, but you want to start with a little bit of an emissive shader that kind of has that inner glow to it. And then you really, really want to focus in on getting some like a light that actually is, because you don't want to make the emission so high that it's actually lighting the scene, because then it gets very, very noisy. So lots of times in those situations, what I will do is I will render the character without the glasses, but just have like a little bit of light on the face, so to simulate the glow of that, and then render the glasses separately, put those on top, and then render a separate like reflection that I put in. That's the kind of glowy holographic thing.
Okay.
Let me see.
So would you have to make the HUD material actually more transparent, so it looks it acts more like a glass?
Make it more transparent so it would act more like a glass. Not necessarily, because that's all about like how shaded it is and like how much shade there, like how shaded the glasses are. I just want to pull up something because this is similar to because heads-up displays on glasses are. Let's see, where is that? So like one of the. So we had this character from Spies in Disguise. We have ears who hears things and eyes who has this. So for her, it was about it was actually rendering her glasses without the glass in place, and then using some light to throw light from the glass's edge onto her face a little bit, and then through compositing, getting the effects on there. So for you, it'd be a matter of like using the frame. Rendering the shade possibly separately, and then the decals you can add in as a separate element, and then you're really, really, really able to glow those up in the composite a little bit too. Like it's not bad to have them in the initial render to have a little bit of glow, but like give yourself that flexibility in the comp by having it as a separate element.
Okay,
That
cool.
makes sense. Some other things. So I was curious about your aspect ratio because it's a square, and I'm wondering why. It's not a bad thing. I'm just curious as to why you chose that aspect ratio.
I think it's more because I have the camera set as 100 millimeter, because I have it super, I've got her as a telephoto because I wanted to get the contrast of her and the city, to make the city look, her look bigger, the city look small, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when I was changing my lens size to 100 millimeter, it made it a square. And I was trying to stretch it out, but like I couldn't, it doesn't seem to let me make it more rectangular for some reason. So I don't know if that's something to do with the camera setup.
Yeah, is this Katana? Is this in Katana or Maya?
No, I'm doing it in Blender. This is all in Blender.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would just be, whatever the aspect ratio settings, probably of your render. It might be in the camera. I'm not 100% sure how Blender handles that, but yeah, it's
okay. Yeah, I'll poke around at that a bit more.
It's fine.
I do want to make it a bit more rectangular, but the square looks cool, kind of too. So
yeah, it's just a very interesting format because because the two things: one, the telephoto lens, and two, the format both condenses the space, which is not normally what you see out of like a city thing. Like usually with cities and landscapes, it's like you widen out you make a wide angle, to make her feel a little bit like, because that'll actually stretch her out a little bit and make the space feel bigger. And then like you'll have like like an old Western film has like super wide angle stuff, or wide aspect ratio stuff. But like you're taking that and bringing it in, which is in film. I mean, because again, this is a still, but like in film, you start to see this in like films like Quiet Place or something that's supposed to like cause more tension because it's like it's kind of boxing you in. So I was just curious. And then the other thing. Okay, so there was that. Two. The scale of. Oh, sorry. Oh, pull this back. Oh, weird. I don't know how I did that. That's fine. If anyone knows how to get everyone bigger again, I don't know how to do that. Does that full screen pop out? No. Can I pop this out? I guess so. Look at that. I can make that its own thing. Huh, who knew? Okay, so the other thing was the scale of her versus the motorcycle itself. The motorcycle itself feels very large. Like when I'm looking at this, like I feel like she's able to just kind of sit on top of it. This one it feels a little bit bigger. In this one, there's something about it. It's just like maybe it might just be the angle, but it feels like the motorcycle is much bigger than she is.
Yeah, I just kind of scaled it up. I wasn't quite sure how big I wanted it to be because I hadn't figured that out yet. So last night I put the motorcycle on last night and spent a good chunk of time getting all the emissions and everything on it right. So I'm probably going to mess with the scale a bit more on that too. Because it does look a little big, but I'm like,
yeah, no,
how big of a crazy cyberpunk bike do I want it to have?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know the story, so maybe that's the case. It is. Okay, and then the in terms of the lighting, one of the things that I was noticing about these references, and this one too, like they're very strong on the rim, which you kind of have, and you've got that. But like the core, the central core, and this one's very like got a lot of fill value in it. But the central core is pretty saturated and falls into that same color space. Where this one falls in more neutrality in the middle. Like she falls into more like a neutral gray. I would work to infuse more color into that region too. So like really not letting her get neutral too much, because then it's like, because that's when you kind of get these like super cool cyberpunky feels, is like when they're kind of engulfed in this color, engulfed in this space. And then and then just watch out for the contact shadow of her feet on the ground. Like it looks like this light's kind of creeping up under there.
Okay.
That might just be the.
She might be floating a little bit.
Yeah, or it might just be like super reflected. Like actually, but because that one looks a little grounded there. But yeah, and then we can we'll adjust these rims as we go forward too, because we might want to make them more like this one is more of like a wrap light that kind of wraps around her, and then this one is more right on her edge. These are kind of in the middle here a little bit, so we might just want to push it one way a little bit more or other. Oh, and then the last thing was, like this light here on this side of her face is feeling very neutral, and I would almost want that to be more like this. I like use that as an opportunity to infuse the
color.
This teal color in there.
So.
Cool stuff, man. All right, we've got Felipe. You're here. Sorry, I muted you because I was hearing some noise. And yes, you are here. So we're going to go ahead and go go ahead and unmute you if you're available. Actually, I won't just unmute somebody without their permission. It feels intrusive to me. So go ahead and jump in. If you're able to join us, unmute the mic, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So this is kind of like a normal starting point for the Sir Desmodus Rotundus. And there are a few things going on, and I think a little bit of it at first is going to be, there's two things that we really want to dive into. One would be balancing the materials a little bit more, and two is really kind of identifying the story and the light source that we're trying to tell with this. So right now it's like, clearly he's in some sort of museum or cathedral or some sort of like old architecture space. There is light coming in through this window that's kind of like a mix between possibly daylight, possibly nighttime, so I'm not really sure. But it's hitting back along this wall, and it's not kind of hitting our character here, which is fine. But all that being said, so really it's just a matter of determining what your goal is for the light setup on him. Do we want to light him dark over light over dark? And then from there, what I'm looking at with balancing the materials is like his face feels pretty orange and dark and flat. His eyes, I don't think his eyes are getting the proper texturing right now. There should be, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a corneal layer that goes over top of his eye, and then geometry under that his actual eye textures and stuff get applied to. Double check that because his eyes just look pretty white. The skin on his face should match the skin of his body a little bit more, because like this feels more purple, this feels more orangey red. Getting those in alignment would be good. And then in terms of the skin overall, you just want to create some more specularity in that. And same thing with this cape. The cape is very dark, the hat is very dark and very matte. You want to create some specular values in there. And then like I said, like really getting him to read over the background. I would encourage you to take a look at the Hall of Fame. We've got some really, really great examples of, and I pulled up Kay's from the other day. So this is where Kay started. And again, very similar to where your starting point is. It's like there's kind of a the light on him is from like a questionable source. There's not like a lot of clear emotion or like, and same thing with the specularity in the skin and the mismatch of that kind of stuff. And then we worked with him over a while, and we got more in this place here. So again, this type of shaping in the wing, in the face, a better match of the base color of these things. Obviously we get some more pink around the edges of the ears and stuff, some more shaping in here. Tighten the camera up a little bit, which was his choice, and then really starting to feel like getting a lot stronger emotion. So I would encourage you to take a look at that, and also some of the other examples to really get a feel of the way his skin, like when his skin is looking good, when his wings are looking good. And it's all about finding that balance with the specular highlights and getting the color in the right spot. So let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, I did mute you before just because there was some ambient noise. But if you feel free to unmute and ask any questions that you have. But in the meantime, let's see, we've got Kat. I'm trying to think if there's any others that we want to look at. Oh, Emma. All right, cool. So Emma, so we've got the 5 images here that you had set up previously. This one bigger too. So I love that you're supplying these where the character's at in different parts of the room, because it really, really helps identify where we're looking to go. Because it's like, I really love how the character is in the shadow here, moves into the different light sources, and we can really play on the emotion of the character based on that. And one of the things that we can do that I really think that we should do is really push the light values of both the man-made lights and the outside light. Because if you look at just the levels of this right now, like you can see that we max out in the midtones, right? There's really nothing that's very bright in this scene. It's all very kind of low light stuff, and that's fine for some nighttime stuff. But like, I really do think that we are missing an opportunity to add some more brighter values in there. and making it somewhere along these lines would be, like it doesn't quite have to go this bright. Like some of the things I added were just like a little bit more brightness back here. We can tone that down a little bit, but something a little bit brighter just so we can get some more rim on the character here. And then additionally, and looking at this side, just like pushing those brighter, that would actually create more light in the space, because I just want to see more interaction with the character in this scene. So I think you can push the outside light coming through. You could put like something cool that you could do is put like a you can I was going to try and think if we have any tree geometry in any of the asset libraries. Double check the asset library, maybe the mushrooms or something, putting that outside the window to create a little bit of a silhouette here of something. Just so we, like, this outside space doesn't feel so empty, like there's something out there. And again, it really doesn't have to be articulated. It can just be a silhouette because it's nighttime out there and just the light coming in, maybe just a little bit of rim on it. But just having something outside that window to go along with this. And then pushing this brighter will allow more bounce light, more rim light on him as he gets into here. And then as he gets over here, like having this light really kind of shining down on him, hitting the table, bouncing up into his face would be really cool. And then like in here too. So now he's got this rim light here. He's got the blue light coming around him. We can choose if we want to pull back some of the brightness here on the knife and allow that to be dark over light, or we can hit it with some I always call it like bling bling light, like light that just kind of hits the edge of it to show the sharpness of it too. And that'll allow the opportunities when he is back in this corner. So like by brightening the brights, it'll actually allow that to even feel darker a little bit. And so it'll create more of a contrast of spaces for him and allow him to kind of like move through that darkness and truly feel like he's hiding in the darkness because there is brighter values. Right now, like I'm not totally convinced he's that much out of the light when he's back there. So just keep pushing it, basically, is my advice there. So, all right, that is all for today, everybody. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, take a look at the shared animations that people have been submitting. Really cool stuff. Lots of opportunities for some cool lighting. And reach out if you guys need anything. But if not, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. All right, happy lighting, everybody.